Alright guys, so we're starting chapter 2 with a relatively short key issue, especially as far as like what's important to take down. So the first thing is this map, alright? You'll notice that the map looks completely different, right? India is massive, China is massive, but Canada, which is normally super huge, is crazy small. It's America's little baby hat, okay? And the reason this is because this right here is our key. All right, if it's red, it's got 100 million and above. If it's not, then it doesn't, okay? And so this is what's called a cartogram. A cartogram is a map that's based completely off of population, okay? So a lot of times you'll use something like this so that you can get a better feel for what populations look like in a place, and that's basically what all of this chapter is going to be about. It's about population and health. So when we look for population, specifically in the United States, we use what's called the census. You definitely need to take this part down, okay? Do not write down every single word, but this is important, okay? The census is important because it's basically how all of the maps from this book are made. All right, there's some people who don't fill this out as often. Those include homeless people, ethnic minorities, and citizens of other countries who don't have proper immigration forms. So the numbers aren't always perfect, but they try really hard. So definitely read this, take this down because it's important. All right, then we look at population concentrations, okay? If you remember from chapter 1, we talked about concentrations are how like tightly packed people are in a certain area. And if you look at this map, you can see that primarily they're gonna be located right here in Europe, right here in South Asia, right here in Southeast Asia, and right over here in East Asia, right? Okay, so the reason for this is many, but you guys should definitely look at these and take down your clusters. I'm sure there will be a quiz question that asks which of these is a population cluster, okay? So you need to know where those 4 places are clustered. And honestly, I mean, it makes sense, right? Europe is where the Industrial Revolution happened. South Asia is where you're going to see a lot of the earliest civilizations. And so, I mean, that's just, it makes sense that the places that had population first continued to grow quicker. Okay. Now we're looking at places that are sparsely populated, okay? Places that don't have a lot of people. The reason this is look at these places. Dry, wet, cold, high. Okay, if you are in any of these places, it's very difficult to have agriculture. And so if you're a place that's trying to, sustain life, you have to have agriculture. And in these places, it's very difficult to do that. The one example of a place that's not is highlands. You see a lot in like South America. You see a lot of cities that are located in highlands, and so they're sort of the exception to the rule. But for the most part, you're not going to see them there. All right. Then you go on. This part is important as well. Okay, you got to get the 3 kinds of population density. You get arithmetic density, physiological density, agriculture density. All right, and if you look at these numbers, it makes sense. All right, your arithmetic density is just total number of people over total amount of land. All right, it's super, super simple. But then you move to your physiological density, which is the total number of people over the amount of arable land. All right, arable land is just land that you can farm, agricultural land. Okay, so if you live in a city, your amount of arable land is not very much. But if you live out in the country, your amount of arable land is a lot. Okay, so then you look at agricultural density, which rather than being total number of people over arable land, it's number of farmers over arable land. Okay, so when you look at someplace like sub-Saharan Africa or Asia, you see a lot of farmers in this area and a lot of arable land, but that's just going to impact the physiological density and the agricultural density because you've got so many farmers and quite a bit of arable land, but they are doing what's called subsistence farming. All right, subsistence farming is basically farming just enough for you and your family to eat. All right, if you are doing subsistence farming, you're not doing what we do in the United States, which is commercial farming, where it's basically one farmer providing food for a lot of people. All right, you're just providing for your family. All right, that was key issue 1. Hopefully you got it. Good luck on the quiz.